Wins Houston. All right, Breece Hall. He makes the love list. He broke out 197 yards from scrimmage, touchdown, 2 yards away from two more touchdowns.
Who's the worst cheater, by the way? Did you see this story that the guys there's these guys in Ohio. Hang on for 1 second. There's these guys in Ohio, swear to God, that they're in a fishing tournament, and it's for a lot of money. And they put lead weights in the fish to make them weigh higher, right? And there's a viral video of like other fishermen calling them out, and like it's total scumbags, these guys that weighted down the fish. And now there's chances, I guess, that they're going to get like charges brought up against them for theft because they were trying to steal the money of the prize money. Anyway, who's a bigger cheater? Is my question to you. Is the Ohio fisherman or the Houston Astros?
I think the thing with the Houston Astros is that it was such unimpressive cheating. They were banging trash cans.
Right.
It's the 21st century.
Exactly.
There's so much technology.
Jose Altuve, don't touch my buzzer as he rounds bases.
It's unbelievable.
So you think they were the worst cheaters because they weren't clever enough?
Yes, because they were worse at cheating. That makes them bad cheaters.
They were bad cheaters. Because the fish guys apparently got away with this for quite some time. It took a while before people, figured out that they were just, shoving some, lead pellets down these fish's gullets.
You played tennis growing up, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So when you had to call your own balls in or out, like when you're a kid growing up, you kind of, the ball slightly got the edge of the line, you call it out?
No, I will tell you a true story. Because I was a really frustrating player to play because I wasn't overpowering. I was one of those kids, you hit it 15 times, I got it 16 times. You could do it 18, like a junk ball pitcher.
Like Leighton Hewitt.
Yeah, just literally, all I did was just get the ball back. But I was super consistent. And so, I would drive people crazy. And it was just like a batter who strikes out 4 times. It's like, that guy doesn't have any junk.
Yeah.
He's thrown nothing but junk. That guy has no actual stuff. I'm swinging at 85-mile curveballs. So, people would get really frustrated playing me because, it was all unforced errors.
Yep.
And so I would get accused of, they're like, well, that was it. And so sometimes in that happened, you could get somebody from the tournament to come and call lines.
Oh, no.
And no, it was great because what would happen is when they did that, then I'm like, okay, now it's on. And I would just destroy them right then. I was ranked in the state of Texas. I was the #1 singles player on my high school team that finished 3rd in the state of Texas. Texas, big state.
It's a big state.
And a lot of good tennis is played there because you can play year round. So I'm just saying, back in the day, and so it was always worse for them once it, quote, got called fair.
Oh, no. Then it became Matthew Berry's destruction tour.
Now you're questioning my integrity, and F you. And so then, it kicked it up another level, and then they never won a game after that.
Okay. Well,
and they're like, oh, I guess you were calling it fair.
Another destruction tour that's going on right now is Breece Hall upon the NFL.
I thought you meant this podcast because we're way off the rails. Yeah, we've already destroyed this.
So why do you love Breece Hall this week? You think he's the guy going forward in that backfield?
He has been. I mean, he's had back-to-back games with over 19 touches, Jay. 3 straight games with 15 or more fantasy points. He's averaging over 42 receiving yards per game, which is the second most among running backs as well. And you love this matchup against the Green Bay Packers defense that is coming back from London, right? I don't love teams that don't get the bye off of the London game. They're coming off of a bad loss to London, and they allow 5.1 yards per carry to opposing running backs. That's the 5th most in the NFL. They're bottom 12 run defense on the season. Even in, we think about that Chicago game. Everyone in the universe knew Justin Fields wasn't throwing.
Yep.
And still Dave Montgomery was able to run on them in negative game scripts. So, yeah, Breece Hall, who has, been as advertised, if not better, from coming out of college, he's been the guy for the Jets. He makes the love list as well. I have him as a top 8 play this week.
Yep, I like that. He's plus 500 and favorite on BetMGM for Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think he should be favorite. I think plus 500 is even too big. I think it should be more like plus 350. Now, another guy who gashed the Packers, or at least was part of a run offense that did, was Rhamondre Stevenson a couple weeks ago. He makes the love list playing at Cleveland.
Yeah, look, so Damian Harris is out. We talked about this yesterday on the show as well with Julie. When Rhamondre Stevenson gets time, when he gets work, when he gets snaps, the dude rocks, man. 6 career games with 15 or more touches. He's had over 100 yards in 4 of them. He's averaging over 16 fantasy points per game in those games, including last week, where, as you see on your screen, 27 touches for 175 total yards. Rhamondre Stevenson not only is going to get a ton of work here, as Damian Harris isn't going to play. He's got that hamstring injury. Ty Montgomery's not going to play as well. So maybe it's Pierre Strong. Like you'll see a couple of guys mixed in, but it's mostly going to be Rhamondre Stevenson against the Browns team that's allowed the 4th most rushing yards to opposing running backs so far, the 2nd most rushing touchdowns. They've given up over almost 6 yards per carry to the position. Rhamondre Stevenson is a top 10 play this week as well.
Yep. I think while Damian Harris is out, I think Saquon is clearly the number 1 back in fantasy. I think Rhamondre Stevenson has a chance to be number 2, though. He has that kind of ceiling because they just even when Mac Jones is back, they still run the ball religiously.
A lot. He's a good pass catcher. He doesn't come off the field.
Everything.
He really does everything.
Yep. Okay, Raheem Mostert, who is starting to completely take over the Miami backfield. Chase Edmonds is fading away, and Raheem the Dream is on the love list this week.
Yeah, Raheem must start.
Yeah, I prefer Raheem the Dream, but that's okay.
I'm sure you do. Not your show. Yeah. You could do that on a button. Chris Sims will like that. Yeah, he'll love that. Look, Raheem Mostert, Raheem must start. In case anyone's keeping track of the dad joke, just go ahead and mark that one down. Here's the thing about Mostert, and I should note this, and this is important. He missed practice Wednesday. He missed practice on Wednesday with a knee issue. Given his injury history, that raises a little bit of eyebrows. Now, it's Wednesday, so we'll see. And as of this broadcast, we don't know if he's practiced yet today. We'll see. Maybe by the end of the show, we'll get a report on that. So it's something to watch out. So, I wouldn't drop Chase Edmonds just yet. But, yes, assuming Raheem Mostert is active, he is a must-start. He's had a 70% snap share the last 2 weeks, 36 touches in his last 2 games. 75% of the Dolphins' goal-to-go touches over that stretch among running backs. He's had over 80 yards from scrimmage. You like the matchup with Minnesota that's allowed over 80 yards from scrimmage to a running back in 4 out of 5 games this year. And then you sort of think about how this Dolphins team wants to attack Minnesota. It's going to be Skylar Thompson under center. Tua has returned in a non-contact jersey to do some stuff. I think there's a chance that Teddy Bridgewater might get to practice today as well. But Mike McDaniel has said that, they're not playing this week. Now, again, that can always change. Maybe he gets a good look at Skylar Thompson in practice. He's just like,
Teddy's elbow's not so bad.
Exactly. He's cleared the concussion protocol. So we'll see. But the last quote I saw was that right now the expectation is Skylar Thompson is under center for Miami against the Vikings. And so with an inexperienced quarterback like that, you want to lean on the run game even more. Good news as long as we're talking about the Dolphins. Full participant in practice yesterday for Tyreek Hill. Yep,
Jalen Waddle will play as well by all indications. Now, some others receiving votes. Kenneth Walker against Arizona, J.K. Dobbins at the Giants, and then Eno Benjamin, who we just spoke about, at Seattle.
Yeah, we talked about Eno Benjamin. So, again, I think he's a viable flex even if Connor is active. Kenneth Walker, I don't think there was a fantasy website or analyst out there that didn't scream, go get Kenneth Walker this week. We were all on the same page here. He was available in about half the leagues, and if you were lucky enough to have already rostered him, or if you were one of those leagues where he wasn't rostered and you managed to get him, you are happy and you're immediately putting him into your lineup. 83% of the snaps after Rashad Penny went down. As we've talked about, the Seahawks average 21 running back touches per week. I have him as a top 16 play this week, and Dobbins continues to get more and more work as he works his way back from injury. Giants have allowed over 75 scrimmage yards to a running back in every single game this year. Dobbins should lead the backfield for the Baltimore Ravens.
If you had Breece Hall, would you trade him for Kenneth Walker? Because Kenneth Walker's in a better offense. I think he has probably less competition, but it's all Breece at the moment because of that game last week. Do you think that there's a chance that Kenneth Walker is the best rookie running back going forward? Obviously not forgetting Dameon Pierce as well.
Yeah, I don't mind that as well. I mean, I don't have a problem with that trade.
Yep.
And I think you could probably get that trade.
I think 95% of people would do that. I'm not sure they should. In terms of, I might rather have Kenneth Walker.
Right. Oh, yeah. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I know that they would not, 95% of the people would not want to trade away Breece Hall. I think it's close, which, by the way, just gives you an idea of how excited we are about Kenneth Walker. But I said this when Penny went down. I've said this all week. I'm not the only one to say this. But Kenneth Walker legitimately has a chance to be a league winner this year.
Now, a guy that people drafted hoping he would be a league winner was Najee Harris, who was a top 10 pick across the board. Not
league
playing
loser.
like it. Yeah, I'd much rather have Kenneth Walker than Najee Harris the rest of the way, I think. And so, hate list, Najee Harris is on it.
Yeah, by the way, I agree with you, and I think that that's a trade that could get done.
Yes,
so something to think about there. He's had one game, right? My article, by the way, my love-hate article that's out now and is 100% free on rotoworld.com, on NBCSportsEdge.com. Of course, I'm a company man. Is all about trade etiquette, all about how to negotiate, the art of negotiation in trades. It's my definitive. It's the 7 habits of highly effective traders.
Yep.
And so go check it out right now. And so this is the week that I feel like you have a decent enough data set, right? You know, most playoffs start in week 15. We're through 5 weeks of the NFL season. So with the caveat that the entire football season is basically a small sample size, I think we have enough of a sample size. We have a third of a season done before the playoffs start. This is when you should know, like, okay, I know what I need and what I have and what I don't have on my roster. This is the week to start making some trades. And Najee Harris is somebody that makes the hate list. I wouldn't mind trading him away. He's got 64 receiving yards through 5 games. That's 39th among running backs. He's got less receiving yards than Kyle Juszczyk. He's got less receiving yards than Craig Reynolds, third-string running back Craig Reynolds in the Lions. I mean, like, he's just not getting any passing game usage, Jay. So that means what he needs to do is get into the end zone. Well, he's only had 2 touchdowns, and he needs to get insane volume. And unfortunately, Jaylen Warren is cutting into it. I throw out last week because they were blown out, and blown out, especially in the second half. But still, you look at those numbers on your screen. He's had 2 games this year where he's had better than 10.7 fantasy points, which is not what you expect when you draft somebody number 1 overall. He's had the only run, and so you add all that up to the fact that now he plays, a tough matchup, right? I mean, like, this is not a matchup that you absolutely love against Tampa Bay. Right. I mean, they haven't been the run defense they were last year, but it's still an elite rush. It still should be an elite rushing defense going forward. So not a lot to love about Najee Harris. I think he's like the seminal reluctant flex at the moment, where you still have to play him. You just don't feel good about it. You just kind of stick him there and hope that you're hoping he falls into the end zone,
yep.
because he's not going to be able to the passing game. So you hope Pittsburgh can keep it close enough with Tampa Bay that they give him the volume that he needs. He's had 1 game this year with over 75 yards from scrimmage, as we've talked about here. Like,
now, a familiar name on the hate list. Good to see him back here. I know we were negative, but it still makes more sense when Clyde Edwards-Helaire is on the hate list. He's had fewer than 10 carries in 4 of 5 games, been very touchdown dependent.
Yeah.
And you don't think he's going to perform.
Yeah, of course, the one game that he had more than 10 carries was the game that I went on national TV and said, hey, I'm taking the under on 9.5 carries for Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and that's the one game, of course, that he went over. He's just been so touchdown dependent. I mean, like, again, he's not getting a ton of work, as you said, under 10 carries in 4 out of 5 games this year. He is not getting a ton of work, and yet he's scoring all these touchdowns. His 5 touchdowns account for 42% of his fantasy points. That's just a massive amount. It's not a great matchup with Buffalo. Bills have allowed the fewest rushing yards to running backs this season. They allow the second fewest yards per carry to opposing running backs so far this year. I don't love Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It's worth noting that last week, when the Chiefs got down pretty big to the Raiders and had to catch up, Jerick McKinnon actually played more snaps than CEH last week. And so certainly you would think that in this game against a potent Bills offense, there's a chance that happens again, that they get down by 10 points, 17 points, and all of a sudden it's a lot more Jerick McKinnon. Clyde Edwards-Helaire comes in for me at running back 26 this week, so
flex.
Mid-tier flex, and ideally you're using a wide receiver there.
Yep. Bills are -3 in Kansas City. And the way to think about how crazy that is that home field is worth 1.5 points. So if this game was in Buffalo, they're saying Patrick Mahomes would be a 6-point underdog, which I'm going to say it's just never happened. I know it's never happened. So pretty crazy that KC at home 3-point dogs to the Bills, but at the same time...
Feels like they're begging you to take Kansas City. That's what they want you to do.
Yes.
They're begging you to take Kansas City.
Patrick Mahomes is incredible as an underdog. It doesn't happen too often. All right, Ezekiel Elliott, another underdog in a big game against Philadelphia. Dallas are now 6-point dogs. We talked about how we liked Philly -5 yesterday. It's already -6 on BetMGM.
Yeah.
And
are you moving markets, Jay Croucher, by yourself? Is that what's happening? Right there?
Yeah.
Big, massive audience for the happy hour that just heard
People
you say
pile
that.
in. Pile in. We're on the Eagles bandwagon.
Well, listen, I appreciate that.
Squad
well,
ride.
if you go to BetMGM, use promo code Barry, all I'm saying. All right, so anyway, yes, they are almost a touchdown underdog here. Ezekiel Elliott does make the hate list, as we talked about a little bit yesterday. Comes in at running back 27 for me. He's had one game this year with over 80 scrimmage yards. Similar to Najee Harris, right? Just the passing game usage hasn't been there. He's had under 5 receiving yards. Not a typo.
It's unbelievable.
Under 5 receiving yards in 4 out of 5 games this year. He's on only one game where he's had multiple catches. And I hate this matchup, right? So now you're like, okay, so he's not getting passing game usage, so he needs volume and touchdown equity. Well, the volume's not going to be there because Tony Pollard's getting some run as well. So now you're hoping he gets into the end zone, and that could always happen. You never know. It's fluky. It's worth noting that the Eagles, a really, really good run defense. There's one running back so far this year through 5 games to reach 65 scrimmage yards against the Eagles. Like, that's not even that high a bar to clear, and yet only one guy has done it, was DeAndre Swift, who's a much more dynamic player than Ezekiel Elliott at the respective places of their careers right now. So, I don't know. Teams facing the Eagles this year are averaging 17 running back touches a game. That's lowest in the NFL. So you're like, okay, they're getting 17 touches against these Eagles, and we know Pollard's probably getting like at least 8 to 10 of them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I probably more like 6 to 8. So I don't know. I don't know. Ideally, you are not using Ezekiel. I think better days are ahead for him, especially once Dak comes back. But ideally, you're not using Ezekiel Elliott this week.
Okay. When we come back, pass catcher, love-hate, receivers, some tight ends. Logan Thomas not on this list, strangely.
I'll figure out a way to get him in.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.